First of all, hi everyone. I'm glad to present to you and to your attention the result of the project on the detection of deepfake video. And in terms of the presentation, we will touch on the point related to the concept of deepfakes and their threats to society, see the main idea of the project, analyze the stages for creating the algorithm, and check the results for the study. To begin with, we will understand what deepfakes are. Deepfake technology involves the synthesis of images, video, and audio materials. In other words, this technology allows for realistic manipulation, replacing the voice and face of one person with a selected or targeted person using artificial intelligence. Since its inception, this technology has acquired a negative value in society, as it bears a destructive nature. For example, using FaceApp application, which was appeared in 2018, amateur videos began to appear that were discredited famous personalities. The most popular case was related to the previous US President Barack Obama, where he discredited Trump, and it was in 2018, and it was the first news which were presented in the TV and which was very, how to say, surprising for everyone, because such technologies comes to us. And also fakes on social network have now come across more often, which also negatively affects society, as people tend to believe what they see and do not question the words spoken by a public person, even if it's fake. In connection with such situations, there is a need to create an algorithm that will recognize fakes. Actually, the essence of our project is to create an algorithm based on the work of convolutional neural networks, which will allow you to find fake video materials as long as video content is the most common and discredited in society. Our project, as you can see, is divided into 4 larger stages. First of all, is analyzing the present algorithms and collecting data for training and the network. When processing the data we selected, so we have to take in metrics that characterize the face. After preparing the images identified from the video, the ResNet 50 network is trained and the model is received. And the model and the last step of our project is testing the our model with test samples from our data set. At first stage, the analysis of the subject area was carried out. At the moment, there are several methods for detecting video fakes. Among them, the most popular video analysis for blinking eyes using recurrent neural network, detecting artifacts on faces, which are result from the used architectures, which allows us to create the fakes. Some of the methods are outdated due to the development of technology and have lost their relevance. So our method involves the operation of convolutional neurons, since they are mainly aimed at working with images. For stage 3, work with the network, we have to prepare our data set. For our project, it was decided to take a shortened set of data submitted by Kaggle, which were collected for the competition to detect deepfakes. The dataset is divided into training and test, and the training dataset is pre-marked for fake and real content. The video from the dataset were processed as follows. First of all, we have to split our frames from the video, and then we have to detect faces in each frame. To do this, we use a method called the histogram of oriented gradients. The essence of this method is to count the number of gradient direction in local areas of the image. After executing this method, in the place of each individual pixel, where will be an arrow which is a gradient. The purpose of which is to show the direction from light pixel to a darker throughout the image. I don't have here the picture of it, but let me show you here. So when we use the Hawk method, we will get something like this. The purpose of which is to show the direction from light pixels to darker throughout the image. The image should be divided into small squares to count the gradient points rotated in different directions, after which we replace the squares with arrows that will be rotated in one direction. A part of the obtained image is compared with Hawk images, which were getting or obtained during the training on the other images. The received frames, which with detected phase form the dataset on which the ResNet-50 convolution neural network will study. The main advantage of this neural network is that the architecture uses a connection mechanism for quick access, the purpose of which is to perform identifier matching, skipping one or more layers. Adding the identifier solves the problem of gradient descent. So when we use a direct propagation, the gradient descent will decrease with each iteration. The errors will be less and the accuracy higher. The architecture of the model consists of 5 stages of convolution embedding a quick access connection, different the numbers of cycles, the numbers of filters at each stage, and the size of the filter itself. After passing through all the stages, the received data passes through a subsample layer by the average value combined and arrives at a fully connected neural network, the output value of which passes through an activation function, usually it's softmax, which allows you to classify objects. Training took place in 20 eras, and based on its result, we were getting main characteristic of the network. Its prediction accuracy and loss function. According to the graphs, it should be said that the accuracy of the very small set of training samples achieved very good performance, and the accuracy of validation examples at the end of 20th era does not exceed an error of more than 8%. However, this indicator can be further improved by increasing the capacity and amount of data. The last function shows that the network is well trained on the training samples, and it's close to 0. But for validation indicators, it can also be improved by increasing the samples and tuning the network. So in conclusion, I want to set and notice that based on the results of the research, we have a very good characteristic of model training, and sorry, the best accuracy indicator for training and validation samples exceed 95%. So it's very good for this small data set which were collected from the Kaggle, and it would be better to increase and improve accuracy and reduce the value loss function. So we should pay attention to the network settings, and we should, for the further research, we should increase our amount of input data, because the network is really depends on this. And for us, the next stage and the next task is to collect more real data to train our network again, because sometimes we have issues with it, and it would be more clear for the next using the how to say, for testing our model, it would be better to train our model on more real videos. So for now, I wanted to show you the model, the improvement of this. So first of all, I want to show you the video which I want to test. You see that it's test videos from the Kaggle dataset. And for example, I want to test this one. Look at this. So you see the girl, and I want to copy this and go to the program. Well, you see that first of all, we have to split our frames Then I want to show the main characteristic of my face or of detected face, and crop the image, which will go through the model predict, and then I will get a result of second frame, because first one is always throughout, it's testing frame, and the second one is the frame that we can, how to say, trust with model prediction. So wait for a moment. So you can see that this is a real, and you can see the bound around her face and the landmarks that characterize the face, its nose, mouth, and so on. Let me show maybe another done example. For example, well, maybe this one. So it's quite long for now, and we have to wait for 1 minute maybe. Oh, well. You see, the model predicted it's fake.
Hi everyone, dear participants. So it's oh sorry, it's a same project. So dear participants, thank you for the flow. My name is Ilya Chernousov. I'm studying at the Far Eastern Federal University. First of all, let me introduce my team: Ivan, Mariana, and Vitor. So, on behalf of the team, today I would like to present a project on possible options for obtaining information from open data source. So, today we'll discuss exactly what is a synth, what are the sources of information for synths, what tools and frameworks are there. We'll discuss project models. Of course, we will represent them. Like a logical, we will present web resource and so discuss possible development paths. So, first topic, what exactly is OSINT? OSINT is an abbreviation for the open source intelligence. This intelligence consists in monitoring open sources, collecting information and processing it on the internet, which has become the main of open source of data for OSINT. Information is collected from sites, forums, torrent trackers, IRC channels. OSINT has been used both in the private sector and in military and intelligence services for many years. Approaches and sources of information have been selected and streamlined by specialized from language, as you can see. So, among the main stages of OSINT are the following. Identify the source. So the main task is where can I find the information. The next stage is harvesting. Get the relevant data. The next stage is data processing. Next, you need to analyze this, join data from multiple sources. And of course, you need to create the final report. The stage is report. Next topic, what tools and frameworks are there? Because OSINT covers so many different types of data, there are many different types of investigations that can be conducted. This ranges from social media investigation uses free tools to combine through vast amounts of tweets to geospatial investigation uses satellite imagery to locate where photos were taken. There are some async tools: social scan, search for faces, ether scan, road, trace. On the right side of the page, you can see a small example of async data sources. As you can see, the list of possible sources is quite wide, from the username to all kinds of archives. In our project, the modules of information will be the following: phone number, domain name and IP addresses, social networking service accounts, crypto wallet inspector, biometrics, especially photo, company name, nickname, Gmail, and tечение. So let's talk about each model. The first model is phone number search. The main idea of this model is to get in basic data about a phone number. Phone numbers are often linked to individuals through phone books, social media accounts, and data leaked by businesses who have worked with someone before. With the help of this model, we are looking for links a phone number to the following social networks: WhatsApp, Kontakte, Odnoklassniki, Facebook. Additionally, this collects information about the operator and location. Results of work for this model you can see at this slide. So, operator location, if it contains WhatsApp, it gets plus. If no, it takes minus. Let's go to the next model.
Yes, thank you, William. I will talk now about second model, domain name and IP address. What is it? This model is about finding info by IP and domain name. Firstly, it's a complex search in Internet of Things. For using model, enter URL and you will get info about this IP, including country, city, region, provider, connection type, and even, yeah, can you forward slide?
Yes.
And map, where you can see where is the provider of that IP. Go to the next model, account of social messenger. What is main idea of this model? If you want to find a chain of links between two accounts, then you use this model. It recursively finds all friends of account in social network and friends of friends, etc. After that, it finds intersection of friend sets and computes chain of links between entered accounts, which can you see at the next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Model also supports situation when both users have restricted access to view personal information. You can see it at the picture. And about next model, we'll talk Liam.
So the next task is crypto wallets. A lot of cryptocurrency users usually create some accounts in cryptocurrency. So for tracking users' assets and their balance, you need accumulate info about that. This model allows it for you. Just type addresses of tokens and accounts and you will get info about summary balances of users' world. For example, slide with balances of some users' world. Yeah, tечение, the next topic. Sometimes you want to know, could one account get crypto from other accounts? With that model, it's possible. On an inter-source and destination account, after receiver computation, we will get chain of cryptocurrency transfers from source account to destination account. Sometimes it's needed to know possibility of transfer between two cryptocurrency users, but it's not to find out that because in cryptocurrency, users can create new accounts, unlimitable and unlinkable between a user and his account. This model allows to trace cryptocurrency transfer despite a lot of intermediate accounts. It's possible recursive BFS. Result of work is potential cryptocurrency transfer chain between entered wallets. At the slide, you can see the example of this model work. Let's continue to talk about this project with biometry model.
Yeah. What is the biometry model by photo? Sometimes you need to find information about human or contact with him using only his photo. And in this case, it takes services for data searched about human by his photo, and this service provided by this model. When you upload photo or enter link to the photo, you get 20 social network accounts with humans with profile photo like you search. And in this model, we use application of As Good Friends, Search for Faces, which provided us free access to the database of photos of contactee accounts. At the right side of the slide, you can see the example of work for this model. Next slide, please. And yet another model is company search. What is main idea? Businesses are some of the easiest entities to find information on, as they need to register a lot of paper with public entities to exist. And in open source databases, we search info about companies. For example, at the right side of the slide, you can see fund info about Sberbank. And Ilya, please tell about next model.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. The next model is nickname search. So, nicknames often appear in documents related to business feelings, so base quality results for many searches related to business owners. This model implements the functionality of the search for basic legal data about the links between nickname and web resource, Gmail and web resource. At this photo, we can see output of this model by test user request. So we have this nickname at all of these resources. Like logical ends of all projects, we deliver a website with these models. It's adapted functional site which perfectly works at all types of devices. You can go to it and use models, see our team and send your feedback. Of course, we need some ways of development. So the possible development paths. Of course, it's increasing of models number. We have some ideas and semi-manufacturing some few models, and we are going to implement this in near future. Second, project monetization. We spent a lot of time for work at this project, so we need some money for further work. The third, increasing of data sources number. It's naturally foreseen becoming of new data sources, so we need to add it to our platform. And the last, project revision and refactoring. For best performance of the project, of course, we need to do some refactoring and revision. Okay. Ivan?
Yeah, and in conclusion, we can say that async is an important part of cybersecurity, which allow you to solve real cases without specific programming skills. And that makes it so popular in cybersecurity community. It's a big honor for us to work at this project together. We really improved our skills in progress working at the project, and now presentation is over. Thank you for your attention, and please ask the questions.
Before I start, I will show that in Oracle VirtualBox Manager that we have only one virtual machine. That's basic virtual machine on Windows 7. And we start the script before presentation because it's so long work. Okay, we start our script. We can choose how many virtual machines we want to install. Okay, choose 2. What product we want to install? Some, for example, version 7.4.7. WordPress version 5.4.1, for example, and WordPress plugin. And again for WordPress, it's Astra. Okay. Script. Okay, let me introduce my project. It's automation of creation of vulnerable virtual machines. So we have a problem that cybersecurity education is so hard because we need a lot of practice and with a lot of practice, we have problems with law. Okay, we have problems with law, so we can create the cyber polygons. There we have problems and million vulnerabilities and exploits, and this has great time for construction these polygons, and this is big pain. So we resolve this pain and solution our project. Object of project, we implement a system that automatically creates virtual machines with a specific configuration. Our technology stack is Python, C++, VirtualBox IP, and VirtualBox. Implementation stage. Stage 1. Firstly, we research VirtualBox IP. It's big documentation for Python. VirtualBox IP has 300 pages. Then we research some structure and WordPress structure. You can see the implementation general project concept and structure of input data. We have a host where we start the Python wrapper. Python wrapper is our main script, which creates, clone, modify data on virtual machines. We have software crawlers. It's Python parsers for support software, is XAMPP, WordPress, WordPress themes, and WordPress plugins. Okay, in the result, we have result VM with configured with our software. And we can have more than one virtual machine, as you can see later, with different configurations. Okay. Stage 3. We was passing versions of XAMPP, WordPress, WordPress plugins, and WordPress themes. And picture 1, you can see the parser for XAMPP. We have four parsers like this. Stage 4. We write code for implementation of processes. Our script can clone virtual machines, hide and start virtual machines, copy data, modify data, and execution random code on guest. Now, our stack available software is XAMPP, WordPress, plugins for WordPress, and themes for WordPress. But later, we easier can to expanded our system and it's maybe a more available software for installation. Okay, we can show the script. We can see that now we have two virtual machines. But script is not already done. And we see that running virtual machine is running, but we not see GUI, and it's hidden running virtual machine. Okay, you can see the debug strings, but later I can delete these strings. It's easy. Okay, first virtual machine is done, and we can choose what products to install to second virtual machine. Okay, it will be XAMPP, WordPress, okay, and M will be for Hello Elementor. Okay. Now our script is building second virtual machine, and while is running, we can show the first virtual machine. We will check that on virtual machine install XAMPP. Okay. And let's check WordPress. Sorry. Okay, localhost. We see that XAMPP is running, and we will show that WordPress is running too. Web server started, WordPress running too. Oh yes, and we can see that theme is Astra. We choose Astra and first virtual machine. Sorry, WordPress. And we can see that plugin is already installed. Okay, we can see that Elementor plugin is installed, but now it's not activated. It will be later. Okay, our script is building second virtual machine. And we can open site and host. Sorry. We can see that in host we have already running and we can see WordPress. We can see our site, but without style, because it's so bad addressing in addressing to styles in WordPress, and we will solve it. We will solve problem with we will configure it later. Okay. So our second machine is not. Okay, second machine is installed.
This topic is quite extensive, but we decided to pay attention to the actual problem of phishing sites. In phishing attack, users are enticed to phishing websites that are designed to look like legitimate websites. Users are usually directed to this page as a result of phishing email, instant message, social media post, or another means of communication where a malicious URL is provided. On this website, users are offered to enter login credential or other sensitive information, such as credit cards, bank accounts, and more. We tried to reduce the threat of these attacks, especially the ones called zero-day phishing attacks. This attack does not lose its relevance for several reasons. The first and most significant is the carelessness of people. This is underlying reason for all phishing attacks. Second, typically phishing sites are best blocked for several hours, and unfortunately during this time they manage to do their job. And for now, it's not possible to determine them in real time with high reliability. There are some attempts to solve this problem using machine learning to analyze page content and some of DLP systems, but today they are not effective and we cannot use them in real time. And one of problem is that there are various tools that simplify the process of creating this site, like GoFish, Modlishka, Phishing Frenzy, and many others. I offer you his scheme of our project. Now I will tell in more detail about each component. First, it's browser extension for Chrome now that work with our API on the server. Second is REST API, full REST API, web server with PHP. Database, MySQL, when we store our data. And Python script that check collected domains in database through API, Aristotle, and FishTank. There are our scheme. First is extension of our browser. It has several tasks. send a part of user request, such as URL, refer, and ID of user to our server. Second task is accept the response from the server and, depending on them, apply certain policies. For example, deny access to the site, or issue a warning, or do nothing. Second is API on our server for the extension. This is REST API that works on PHP. It receives and processes requests as well as give answers. Good domain, bad domain, suspicious domain, our application. We use MySQL database to store our collected data, and when the user installs the application, the extension, we collect statistics and the domains that he uses by default for 1 day. We store all time that he uses this application, but we collected all statistics and domains only for 1 day. And in parallel, we check these domains for validity, by which I mean the domain is not phishing or another suspicious site. In this case, we base on Aristotle and fish tanks for now. After the end of the training period of our application, we begin to issue recommendations to the user and begin to prohibit bad domains. To store our statistics, we use our database, which contains such fields as ID, domain, status. There are some tables. We have 2 modes of work of our extension. First is training mode, default 1 day. In this mode, we only block malicious sites that we managed to learn about our blacklist and collect domains from each user personally. In operating mode, we collect domains from each user, continue to do it, block malicious sites from our blacklist, and give 3 types of recommendations. First, you have not accessed this domain before. Are you sure you want to continue or not? You try to access this domain, but say no. And third, the domain has a bad reputation. Are you sure you want to visit? After that, we get a working application that helps protect people from phishing and other malicious domains. You ask me, what difference from other extensions, for example, which offer antiviruses and Aristotle? The answer is that since we analyze the traffic of a specific user personally, we can create unique databases that will understand that, for example, ДВФУ-ru is not the same as ДВФУ-ru, and give recommendations to the user or deny access, apply, unlike other extensions and antiviruses. Consider a real example. A couple of months ago, in Faisal Federal University was a phishing attack. There are a sending of phishing emails to the accounts of employees and students, which they need to confirm the identity of the Microsoft account. The email contains a link that redirects on personal account authorization page. On the slide, you can see identical sites, but if you look closely, the domain of the link in the email and the official resources is different. Unfortunately, the antivirus cannot recognize this threat, and some students' accounts have been compromised. Our solution would not block access, but made the user pay attention that the domain he was visiting was constantly different from one given in the link, thereby saving his personal data. Advantage of our project has scalability. Now we work with only 2 of many free API and are negotiating the provision of a full API company any.run. It's a Russian company, big Russian company. And we killed two birds with one stone. First of all, we use предлагаем по-английски, блин. We offer standard level virus protection and also whitelist that adapts to each user and reduce the chance of losing his personal data. Now I demonstrate works of our project. For example, I open this link. I open this link, and if I go to this site, now we work in operating mode. I will be asked that I never visited the ДВФУ.ру before. It's not the same example that in slides, but now domain ДВФУ.ру is blocked. If I put OK, I go to the site and can use it without no restrictions for many days. It can be restricted if we see that this site malicious from our CI/CD, virus total, fish tank, any.run, and others. For example, say that base 64.ru is malicious site. I put течение. I put this domain to our blacklist on server, and you can see that the domain base64.ru has a bad reputation. I'm sure you want to visit. If we go OK and go further. But in this case, they ask you every time. Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rafaela, and I will talk to you guys about penetration testing alongside with my colleague Hishab. So first, before we talk about the project, our idea for the project itself, we'll start talking about penetration testing. So penetration testing involves simulating real attacks to assess the risk associated with potential security breaches. In a pen test, the testers not only discover vulnerabilities that could be used by attackers, but also exploit vulnerabilities. So let's divide the stages of penetration testing to get a better understanding of it. The first phase is information gathering. And during this phase, you analyze freely available sources of information. You also begin to use such tools as port scanners. Then we have threat modeling. In this phase, the tester uses this information to determine the value of each finding. This evaluation allows the pen tester to develop an action plan. And then we have the vulnerability analysis phase. In this phase, the pen tester attempts to discover vulnerabilities in the systems that can be taken advantage of in the exploitation phase, which is the next phase. Successful exploit might lead to a post-exploitation phase. It should be mentioned that in the exploitation phase, we run exploits against the vulnerabilities that we've discovered in an attempt to access the system. And during the post-exploitation phase, we gather information about the attacked system. And after we covered this basic of penetration testing, we'll talk about our project itself. Some of the concepts that we have to bear in mind are the intrusion detection system, which is basically a network security technology designed to detect vulnerabilities, exploits against a target application or computer. And besides an intrusion detection system, we have intrusion prevention system, which is a network security, basically kind of technology that examines network traffic flows to detect and prevent vulnerability exploits. And finally, we have the notion of a honeypot. And a honeypot is basically a computer or computer system intended to emulate likely targets of attacks, criminal attacks. It can be used to detect attacks or deflect them from the target. It can also be used to get information about how criminals operate and what they intend to do in our system. And now we'll talk about the idea itself of the project. And now my colleague Hishab will guide you guys. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Rafaela. I'm Rishabh, and I would be telling you the idea of our project. The basic idea is to create an IDPS, an intrusion detection and prevention system, which would work as the first line of defense in order to prevent a network from any outside attack. And using this project, we would be able to detect a network scan taking place from outside the network, know the IP and other information of the attacker, and then route the attacker to a honeypot. Now, as we know that any attacker would start an attack by identifying host status by sending ICMP or TCP packets using a ping scan, a basic Nmap scan. We are using different tools, and using these tools, we would be able to analyze the Nmap ping scans when someone tries to scan the network for identifying the live host of the network. The basic tools that we are using are virtualization software, either a VMware or a virtual box installed with Kali. Here we are using Kali as an attacker machine and Windows as a victim machine. Some tools that we are using: Snort, NPCap, Wireshark, Honeypot, and KF sensor. Snort is used as a packet scanner and a IDS. NPCap is a packet scanner. Wireshark is a packet scanner which we are using to just to test ourselves. Honeypot and KF sensors are two honeypots that we're using. Now I'll take you through the steps. Firstly, we have two machines running, Windows 7 machine and a Kali machine. We check both their IPs. Then we first try to send a network Nmap scan from our Kali machine to our Windows machine, and as you can see that we are able to find some information. This is when we have not installed any of our IDS. Now we install the IDPS tool called Snort, and its rules, we download them, and we just install it. Then the most important part is to configure the Snort. There are 9 different steps when we have to configure Snort. First, we set up the network variables, then we configure the decoder, then we configure the base detection engine, then dynamic loaded libraries, processors, output plugins. We have the rule sets, then decoder rule set, and the shared object rule set. So I'll just take you through our the Snort configuration file. For example, you can see we set our home network. This is our this is the IP of our Windows machine, and there are some other rules which these are the rules that we are using. So once we are done with configuring Snort, we create a local rule file called local.rule. Now this is specifically done in order to detect the Nmap scans. Snort has different functionalities, and here we are using particularly the Nmap scan. So I'll just show you the local rules. Here we would be able to detect ICMP attacks, TCP attacks, UDP pings, from any host to our host to particular these ports. We are using TCP scans, XMS tree scan, and null scans. Now we are testing our Snort. After this Snort, we have a tool called Honeybot. Honeybot is a medium-based interaction honeypot for Windows. It's an open source tool. As Rafaela told you, Honeypot creates a safe environment to capture and interact with the unsolicited traffic on a network. Honeybot is an easy-to-use solution ideal for network security research or as a part of early warning IDS. it basically listens to a lot of open ports. And another tool that we're using is KF Sensor. Now, KF Sensor is partially it's a paid tool. We are using a trial version, so there are some disadvantages with that. So I'll take you through the demonstration. So as I told you, firstly we take the IP of our Windows machine and we do an nmap scan from our Kali machine to the Windows machine. We are doing an SS scan, that is a TCP scan. Just wait for a moment. Yeah. Now, as you can see, let me take you back to the slide where we did an nmap scan before installing Snot. Before installing Snot, we got this result on this nmap scan, and after installing Snot, we are getting no result. So Snot is just, you can say, a filter that blocks nmap scans, but that's not our only job. Our another part was to create an honeypot. To create the honeypots, we use the tools honeypot and KF Sensor. We start the servers both on honeypot and KF Sensor. And then we do the same nmap scan again. So just see the difference in the open ports. So now, as you can see, we are getting a lot of open ports, and obviously the attacker wouldn't be able to find the exact open port if there is any. Now, as I told you, KF Sensor is it's a free trial that we are using. So obviously there are some liabilities. One of them is that we are getting at least 70 or 80 open ports. So obviously this sounds suspicious that obviously it is a honeypot. If we want to get a proper honeypot, we can use a proper server. And a honeypot is usually installed in the demilitarized zone, and it is before a firewall. And there's another drawback of using this free version. We can check the details of the attacks. So as you can see, we were able to identify the exact time of the attack. The severity, it is low since it is only an nmap scan. There was no any further attack that took place. And the most important part of a honeypot is to detect the IP of the attacker. Now, as I told, this is a free version, so we are not able to identify the IP on this tool. So this is just displaying the local host. On other versions, we can detect the IP as well.